What an incredible day of upsets. For the second time this season, Kurt Busch is driving into victory lane at a 1.5-mile speedway, but not before his brother Kyle just missed, making NASCAR history, and we saw an incredible point swing when it comes to the top of the chase for the 2009 Sprint Cup Championship. Hello everyone and welcome to NASCAR Victory Lane on Speed. I'm John Roberts, Larry McReynolds, race car driver, Kenny Wallace, and Kurt Busch was probably, well, one of the more unlikely winners of the weekend. After his brother had won the first two races of the weekend, he went for the unprecedented triple, didn't make it, and as other cars just started dropping off, Kurt Busch had enough fuel.
But they had a brand new race car here, and you could see from the time the track opened for practice on Friday, qualified third, and he ran right up there in the top 2 or 3 all night long, and we knew it. We saw it a year ago, we saw it tonight, that this race could come down to strategy and fuel mileage.
And I got to tell you, my viewpoint, what an incredible upset of disappointment. Jimmie Johnson getting taken out early. Of course, the 18 of Kyle Busch, thinking this kid, you know, is going to win all 3 races. The nationwide race, the truck race, the cup race, with 5 laps to go, 3 laps to go. Kyle Busch runs out of gas, so today, monumental situation. So nobody capitalized on anything.
Yeah, actually a wild day. You know, would not have expected this kind of outcome. Well, let's take a quick look at the highlights here. We'll have a much more in-depth look later on Victory Lane. But as we started the last 500-mile event of the year, the third to last race here at the Texas Motor Speedway, it was Jeff Gordon, the winner last time we raced here, who started on the pole position. Another former winner at this racetrack, Casey Kane, started outside of row number 1. Keep an eye on the Blue Deuce, but also watch out on lap number 3. Sam Hornish gets loose, gets into points leader Jimmie Johnson, who we thought coming into today had a points lead that was insurmountable. But think again, he spent 1 hour and 8 minutes behind the wall as his crew feverishly rebuilt that race car, and he ended up coming out with a 111-point loss in championship standings. Another guy who could not capitalize, Jeff Gordon, third in points. Carl Edwards, another chaser, looking for his first win of the season. Well, it didn't happen for him either. It looked like this was Kyle Busch's race to win, and NASCAR history was on his mind, but not enough fuel in the race car as he dropped back. Marcus Ambrose was running in the second position at the time. He was out of gas as well, but the one car that had enough fuel and enough strategy to make it home was Kurt Busch in the number 2, second win of the season, first ever here at Texas, and his name will go up on a very special wall of fame after his backwards victory lap. Had to have a little help getting into victory lane because he was out of gas finally. Let's take a look at the championship standings down. Larry Mack, we got some yellow up there right now.
Yeah, last week we had 1 driver in white and 11 drivers in red, but because of what happened on lap 3, you see now that we have 3 drivers with 2 races to go, 2 for sure, Mark Martin and Jeff Gordon, within striking distance of that 48 car.
And this is good for the show because there are a ton of Mark the Kid Martin fans out there. This 51-year-old driver, Mark Martin, has a great run, finishes 4th today. 73 points out of Jimmie Johnson. Now we have a barn burner, and this will be exciting when we go to Phoenix next week.
Let's go now to Bob Dillner, who talked with our points leader, Jimmie Johnson, after a disappointing day.
Coming into this weekend, Jimmie Johnson warned us it's not over, and you were afraid of unfortunate circumstances, and unfortunately, you got one today, Jimmie. Tell me about it.
I did. I was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. I wish Sam could have waited a little longer to hit something until I got by. He did hit a couple things tonight and can do that from time to time. So I was just on the outside when he lost it and collected me, and I tried to save it and bounced off a couple things and then hit the inside wall hard. But it's one of those deals. I've been saying all along this thing isn't over. Thankfully, we had a big points lead. We still have a nice points lead going into Phoenix, and we'll just dust ourselves off and go again next week.
I counted 16 guys from 3 different teams trying to repair your car. Hendrick Motorsports really banding together to get you back out there and at least get a couple spots because every point counts.
Yeah, every point does count, and I have to thank I saw all my teammates from other cars over there in different fire suits rolling around, and it took them all to get it right because the first report was we're going to put it on the truck. The car was really tore up, and those guys worked hard and got it right, and was able to maintain the minimum speed.
You frustrated?
Yeah, I mean, I had so long to sit in the car and think about it. Yeah, I am frustrated, but not as much as I was before, and disappointed. I mean, I just didn't know how the night was going to turn out. Mark had a great night, Jeff didn't, but I just got to go to Phoenix and race.
2 more to go for Jimmie Johnson in his quest for 4 straight.
Yeah, Bob, and as you look at 2 to go, the points lead coming in was 184 points. That's much better than 1 race worth of points. Now, 111 going out, Kenny Wallace, that is much less than 1 race worth of points.
Well, there's no doubt. I mean, this is big news. I mean, it's going to be all over the TV networks, all over the newspapers all week long. Everybody is going to be focused in on the Phoenix race. But I want to say one thing. When we started this 10 race for the championship, I've always said, Larry McReynolds, I said, these are championship drivers. There's only 2 things in my mind that can ruin a championship, and that's one is part failure and wrecks of not that driver's making. Now, we have 2 drivers. Rudeman gets into Hornish, gets him loose, and here we are. 2 of the things that I thought would decide this championship.
No, I said shortly after the chase got started that you were not going to beat the 48 car on the racetrack. It was going to take something like what happened here at Texas Motor Speedway. But I go back to their qualifying. Not that qualifying 12th is bad by no means, but I felt like in practice on Friday, they had a car that maybe could contend for the pole. They qualified 12th. They kind of got back there in the eye of the storm, and they get caught up in the storm. But Bob Dillner pointed it out. I was so impressed with all the Hendrick Motorsports employees that were over there. Jason Burdett is the car chief, like the assistant head coach on the 24 car. He was over there, hands and legs in there, helping repair that 48 car. Pretty impressive.
And that is teamwork for you. But just to give you a couple more numbers about how good Jimmie Johnson is in the chase, over the last 33 chase races, his worst finish has been 15. He's well back beyond that today. And Kurt Busch is the one that's celebrating. We'll talk to him in a moment.
NASCAR Victory Lane is presented by Travelodge, Recreate, Hibernate, and brought to you in part by the Ford F-150. It's not just a pickup truck, it's a Ford F-150.
Welcome back, everyone, to Victory Lane at the Texas Motor Speedway, where chase race number 8 in the 2009 season is in the history books. Kurt Busch is the one that is celebrating, shooting the memorial guns, or actually the ceremonial guns, we should say. And a big check went to a fan from Dickies, $1 million, because Kurt Busch was able to win this thing. More on that in a moment, but right now let's start you out at the green flag and check out the first half worth of highlights in this very eventful race. Jeff Gordon was on the pole, believe it or not, his first pole position this season at a track where he won the last time we raced here. Casey Kane next to him, the only guy ever to win this race from the pole position, and it certainly didn't take long for everybody in the stands here to just take a big gasp of air.
And it didn't take long to realize that 24 car was not what they were looking for. We actually saw it in practice. Jeff Gordon came close to getting lapped several times during this race.
So let's take a look at what happened to Jimmie Johnson, your points leader. You see the 00 of David Rudeman, 77 of Sam Hornish, and there's the damage coming to the 48.
And I mean, you say to yourself, okay, watch right here, hold on. Boom, oh, and there's no soft wall there. That is pure concrete. So let's go along. Okay, he's good, he's good. He's trying to save it. He can't, he gets into Hornish, who got into him. Now, where's the soft wall? There's a soft wall back there, Larry McReynolds. So this really wipes the car out.
I tell you what, when I look at this, you realize just how bad that 48 car was torn up. It took them basically an hour and 8 minutes. They lost 114 laps repairing that car.
So let's take a look at the reaction from crew chief Chad Knaus as he was wondering what in the heck happened, because, it's out of his control.
And it was coming off turn 2. That's been Calamity Corner all weekend long.
And race fans, we talk about war wagons, things of these nature. These are items that the team has to fix a car that is in this situation. Now, Larry McReynolds, because of them doing this, I mean, you're a crew chief, they saved themselves. They got about 12 points by getting back out on the racetrack.
And I saw no one panicking right here. They knew they had a bad situation to deal with. That's actually Jason Burdett right there in the DuPont uniform that I was talking about. Looks like they had a pretty good game plan in place.
Here comes the 24. Great restart for him with Casey Kane in tow. Kurt Busch on the outside, and Kyle Busch looking to make history, trying to do a three-peat win in one weekend. And he already won the Camping World Truck Series race and the Nationwide race, and was trying to make it 3 in a row at the Cup race. But here comes brother Kurt for the lead by Jeff Gordon.
This was on lap 13. That's how long it took him to take the lead away from that 24 car.
On NASCAR race day this morning, we said, what does Penske Racing have to do to get consistent? Now, we know that this car is is a winning race car, but inconsistent throughout the year. He puts it to bed today, and he runs in the top 2 all day long.
All right, some more wrecking going on here as we see 77 of Sam Hornish Jr. going sliding again. I guess finally putting the period on a very loose race car.
Yeah, this brought the second caution out at lap 87. They had already cycled through one set of green flag pit stops before this caution.
And this car was aerodynamically wounded. The right rear was knocked off. Here's Mark the Kid Martin coming in for a pit stop. Has to put it in reverse because the car right there, number 7, Robbie Gordon, in his way. The pit road gets nasty at times.
Yeah, 15 years ago, you'd have lost a couple of spots going through that. Now you lose about 20 spots.
So the emotions of the other drivers, certainly they don't want to see their teammate Jimmie Johnson behind the wall, but at the same time, they know this may be their one shot at snatching the championship away.
Well, here he comes, and race fans, look at this. This whole nose, this is completely put together. The team puts it in a tractor trailer and brings a complete nose to the racetrack. So they chop the whole nose off, put a new one on, Larry.
When he entered the racetrack there, he was running 43rd, so he definitely gained some spots by going back out.
And here's the man chasing history at the halfway mark, the number 18 of Kyle Busch. He was out front and it looked like it was going to be another one of those Kyle Busch kind of days. Remember, his dominance here, he had 4 races in a row on the Nationwide Series that he had won at this racetrack, so he obviously knows how to get around here.
Well, I just think there was a lot of motivation. You know, they made a crew chief change coming into Texas for the final 3 races. They pretty much replaced Dave Rogers for Steve Addington. Dave, of course, working with the Joe Gibbs Nationwide Series group. And I think Kyle was motivated. I think he kind of asked for this change, and he was out to prove, just give me somebody that I think I can work with. Him and Steve Addington had a lot of success, but I think that was more motivation for him to do what he did here today.
And more motivation for Kurt Busch. Now he is on the Wall of Fame here at the Texas Motor Speedway. His name is with the other drivers who have won here as it gets to be engraved and put up right underneath of Carl Edwards. We'll have Kurt Busch coming over in just a second to talk to us. When we come back, we'll have the rest of the highlights. Back at the Texas Motor Speedway, Kurt Busch is continuing to celebrate. He's got his wife with him now, and the trophy, and a very special trophy and ring coming his way here from the Texas Motor Speedway after the last 500-miler of the season. Now, when we left you, Kyle Busch, Kurt's brother, was leading this race, and he was running down history, a potential of an unprecedented 3-peat win at a racetrack on one weekend, and he was looking pretty strong.
Well, what's awesome about this is this is very rare. 2 brothers lining up. You know, Kurt Busch on the inside, Kyle Busch on the outside. And look, these are 2 brothers going at it at 200 miles per hour.
And those 2 guys right there led the majority of the laps in this 500-mile race today.
And one thing we probably should point out, because the 88 of Dale Earnhardt Jr., this is one of his favorite racetracks. He spent a ton of time up front. It's going to be another one of those frustrating days for the 88 team.
I think it's a deal where we all hold our breath with Junior. Oh, look at that.
Uh-oh, trouble. Trouble at this point. Juan Pablo Montoya gets into Carl Edwards. Carl Edwards is done for the day, and Jeff Gordon, trying to pick up some points, goes for a spin.
Obviously, a bunch of the chase guys. This happened 2 laps after a restart on lap 175. Montoya just got loose. Carl said that he ran side by side with the 42 car going through 3 and 4, and Juan's car looked stable. He said he gave him even more room in 1 and 2, but the way these cars work, when you're on the outside, it'll just make that car on the inside loose, and that's what happened.
And what is great about championship drivers like these is they know what's going to happen. You put drivers in, you know, bad positions, and Carl said, I don't want to put him in a bad position, and it still happened.
Well, Kurt Busch is the first ever chase format champion, and he was looking like a champion today as he was running away with this thing, a lot like he dominated in Atlanta in his number 2 Dodge, but we still had some calamity going on here as we see Reed Sorensen take a very hard lick.
Yeah, he blows a right front tire, Larry, and we didn't see many tire problems today.
No, we didn't, but this is what set up the drama at the end, because this was actually the last caution that happened with 128 laps to go, which put most everyone where they couldn't actually make it on one more stop.
Now, what's neat about this restart is Kyle Busch said, I am going to beat my brother on this restart. And he does, Larry McReynolds, and this was a deciding factor in his domination.
He had some weak restarts. He had been spinning the tires, and actually Kurt would yard him several times, but as you can see there, he yarded Kurt Busch on this restart.
So a classic battle between two brothers going on here, little brother Kyle and big brother Kurt, and also David Rudiman in the 0-0 for Michael Waltrip Racing. Won once so far this season on a very similar racetrack and had a great run going today.
And you know, I know Rudy right here won the Coke 600 on gas, and he was lucky that day, but for the most part, this guy has a cloud following him that will not get away. Later on, you'll see he has a little bit of problem.
Yeah, ran out of fuel with 5 laps to go, running second.
Here comes the number 2 car by Mark Martin. At this point, Mark Martin has to be thinking one thing and one thing only, and that is maximum points as Jimmie Johnson is running well in the back of the pack.
And, you know, when Mark comes, first of all, I want to go back to when he lets Kurt by. That's a championship move, meaning that he's not going to challenge Kurt Busch. He lets him go on purpose, pulls over. Look at this great pit stop, Larry Mack. You're on top of the box zone. Okay, driver, go on out.
But this was the first of the leaders to start hitting pit road late in the race.
So we had a lot of guys worried about their fuel mileage at this point, and here comes the 18 closing in on history. He does the death wiggle.
With 3 laps to go at lap 331, you can see he's trying to get it to pick up enough fuel, but that would have been roughly about, 4.5 miles. Couldn't go that far.
You know, we brag on engineering, and what I say to myself is how can we be 3
Marcus Ambrose
laps?
too.
This guy ran, Michael Waltrip Racing, especially with those 2 cars, the 0-0 and the 47, had a great day. And here was Kevin Harvick running second. He actually made it across the finish line to get a top 5 finish unofficially.
So let's take a look at the checkered flag as Kurt Busch has enough fuel to make it his 2nd victory of the season. And what a great way as this season winds down. You can see how excited Kurt Busch is about this, because it was a little bit of strategy that made this thing pay off for Kurt Busch and his departing crew chief, Pat Tryson. Let's take a look at the finishing order. There you see your 5 chasers out of the top 10. And once again, Matt Kenseth is the highest finishing non-chaser.
A great day for Richard Childress Racing. 3 cars in the top 10. Remember, Jeff Burton in the backup car, and A.J. Allmendinger for Richard Petty Motorsports. The first race with a Ford, going to run a Ford the last 3 races.
And here we are, Kyle Busch, domination station, going to make history. Runs out of gas with 3 laps to go, finishes 11th.
And you see the 2 Michael Waltrip cars there, the 47 and the 0-0. Top 5 runs going with less than 5 laps to go. Barely inside the top 15.
And we got to say the same thing again about Dale Earnhardt Jr., P25, but he did not run there all day.
Well, he not only ran out of fuel, they couldn't get the car cranked, and it lost a ton of time sitting on pit road there on that last
So much better day
yeah,
than
but Dale Jr. needs to get some type of lucky rabbit foot or something. This is getting ridiculous, all his bad luck.
But look at all of our chase guys that finished outside the top 30. You see 4 of them right here, including Jimmie Johnson.
And Sam Hornets just had a rough day. Michael McDowell, Joe Nemechek, Mike Skinner. Let's take a look at the points, and they are shuffled up as Mark Martin now has a 73-point deficit to make up. It was 184 before we came into this thing, and now you got to go all the way back to 4th to find drivers in striking distance.
But remember, even though we have Kurt Busch in yellow, the most points you can gain or lose in one race is 161 points. Looks like to me a battle of the 3 Hendrick cars.
And I will go to the bottom of the list for all you fans going to Vegas. Our top 10 in the points that will be going on the stage. Casey Caney has a tight battle with Carl Edwards. So, race fans, that is a big ego booster right there to finish in the 10th spot.
And now it is time to guarantee the win with Valvoline, and this was the kind of strategy that makes race winners. This number 2 was the last car out of the leaders to come into the pits. Therefore, his fuel load was much bigger, and he had enough to make it to the end. Kurt is on his way over here to join us. We'll be back in a moment. Congratulations once again to Kurt Busch from NASCAR Banking, only from Bank of America. And there have only been 16 different drivers to win the 18 races here at the Texas Motor Speedway. Kurt Busch is the most recent winner. And you know what, Kurt? We always like to come bearing gifts here on NASCAR Victory Lane.
No
so
way.
we have a plate for you.
Ooh.
Check this out. It's going up on the
Nice.
Wall of Fame back there. Has your name on it as a winner.
Snazzy.
Pretty snazzy, huh?
It says K-U-R-T instead of K-Y-L-E.
It was very close to being
Don't have to rub it in now.
Oh, man, we duked it out. That was a lot of fun. I mean, for him and I, we've never really raced each other for the win at a big-time Cup race. I mean, we did Nationwide and did Legend Car Racing, but, man, this is sweet. And it's bittersweet, too, because I was rooting for him on this sweep for this weekend. Truck, Nationwide Cup, but, hey, this is where the big boys run, and we ran all day together, and it was just it was a sweet victory for us.
You know, Kurt, what I found interesting is you took the lead on lap 13, and I was listening to your radio transmission, and I agreed with what you were saying. Are we too good right now? Are we going to be where we need to be when the sun goes down and this track gets faster and gains some grip?
That's always in the back of my mind. Our Penske Dodges run good when the track's green, when it's fresh. Then it gets rubbered in, and we start to slide, and then we don't make good adjustments. But Pat pulled one out of the hat today. He gave me an adjustment. I just agreed with it. I thought the car was going to be dead sideways from there on out, and it hooked us up even better. So it shows us how difficult these cars are to adjust. I mean, every week it's a new challenge.
Kurt, you're a winning race car driver, a champion. With that being said, your team, you're up, you're down, you're up, you're down. Did you see this coming tonight?
I didn't. We wanted to bring this car to Charlotte, actually, and I said, you know, I don't quite agree with where we're going with our aero program. Why don't we take a step back? And I said, well, we'll take it to Texas, because that'll be after Talladega, whether we find out if we're still in the mix for the chase or not. Now I'm really kicking myself for last week, because if we would have had those 70 points that we threw away on the second to last lap, we'd be within 100 points of the championship lead right now. But hey, you never know what's going to happen. That's why this is the chase. That's why we have this style format.
You know, Kurt, you could almost see the stage being set when we had that caution and everybody pitted with about 127 laps to go. I went, I don't know if anybody can make it on one stop there, but what I was impressed, you guys tended to wait. You gave up those laps on fresh tires to the guys that pitted there in the neighborhood of 267, but you were the last car to hit pit road, which if anybody can make it, I'd say now the two can do it.
Yeah, and you were one of the only guys that's going to see that. I mean, our fans thought that this might have been a fuel mileage race, or it came across at the last stop. We stretched our fuel. We started a run before that. I was running second behind Kyle, only a second off the lead. When we came out after we pitted, we were 6 seconds off the lead because we threw away that much time on fresh tires trying to go for the fuel on it.
Yeah.
So it was the tortoise versus the hare, and we were the tortoise plugging along.
Banking that there wouldn't be another caution.
Well, we were positioning ourselves for that, but then we were solid on short runs as well.
Yeah, Kurt, we all know how hard these things are to win. Everything has to come together exactly right. How far does a win like this go for you guys? I mean, can you take it into the offseason and you know, bank on that and kind of have everybody keep their chest puffed up and their heads up high?
Oh, it's awesome. And it gives Brad Keselowski a good, warm, fuzzy feeling to know that these cars are capable, and we are working as hard as we can every week. We won earlier this year. Now we've won late. It just seemed like that summer stretch we were struggling a little bit. And so this gets everybody on top. Our engine department, aero department, we're going to have a big pizza party on Tuesday, and we're just loving life right now. We still have a legitimate shot at moving up in this championship standings.
Larry and Kenny are going to show up now at the place for the pizza
Come on
party.
over.
Hey,
Pizza parties.
And Kurt, you know, you always leave it up to me to have fun at the end of these interviews. First of all, if we ever have a race to drive backwards, you're the winner. You win the race at Atlanta, and you're victory lane. You're looking over the mirror. You did a really good job.
You're hauling the mail there, man.
It's called the unwind lap.
Look how happy you are.
Lap. I'm loving it.
That's why I said to you, I said, you're partying, man. You were partying in the car, driving backwards.
Oh, I loved it. I loved it. It's a challenge to drive that thing backwards. And I ran out of gas going into 3, but the fuel pickup's on the right rear. So going in reverse, it picked up more fuel.
Perfect.
And I
then-
made it around to the pit road area.
And then you make it around the pit road area, and you don't get out of the car and walk. You stand on top of the door. You know what? And you're waving to the fans. Good job of celebrating. You know, because these are such great races. Look at you.
Oh, man. I don't even remember I did that. But it's just the thrill and emotion of victory, and it's just a big win for Operation Homefront.
Nick,
That's what's on the hood. It helps our military families in need.
Were you thinking about doing a backflip right there?
I am not that athletic. No. Here, I'll give you a backflip.
Yeah, there you go.
I do have one comment that I think you'll appreciate.
Woo!
You look much better in that black cowboy hat than Jeff Hammond. He looks like Howdy Doody.
I appreciate that.
It's
I'm
howdy
surprised it
doody
fits,
time.
It looks real
No
good.
matter
and so
how
does the-
goofy it looked, we
Yeah, and
won.
so does the name up on the wall. Kurt, congratulations. Great job. Great team win for you guys, and that'll certainly carry the momentum into the offseason
Thank
for
you,
next
gentlemen.
year. Congratulations, Kurt Busch and the Penske #2 team. As we head off into another break, we want to remind you, when you dream, do you dream in speed? Introducing the Speed Dream Ride. You'll see new shows, old favorites, and have the chance to win an experience you never dreamed possible. The Speed Dream Ride is coming soon. Find out more at speeddreamride.com. For the second time this season in the Sprint Cup Series, here at the Texas Motor Speedway, a Penske Dodge team is celebrating in Victory Lane. There's a great trophy involved in this one and a great spot on the Wall of Fame behind us here at Victory Lane, and that is where Kurt Busch's name will go up and will never come down. Team owner Roger Penske is with us now, and Captain, congratulations. Great job on your team for the win here, but you, if anybody else, knows how difficult these victories are to come by. Everything has to come into place, and it did for your number 2 team tonight.
Well, John, I said earlier, every night I watch this show, and how could I get on this show? So tonight we're on here. It was outstanding job tonight, I think, by the whole team. Kurt, obviously, the momentum is terrific. We're the Dodge team going into next year, and to give them some momentum. But when you look at it, I think the one thing I want to say is that Pat Tryson, who's moving on next year, I want to give him a lot of credit tonight. He called a great race. He's obviously been in the game the whole time. I think the media kind of took that thing, off course a little bit, but he's been right on the job. And Kurt, the team, the engineering guy, great engine. So I just want to thank my people at Penske Racing for a terrific job. And, again, terrific to be here with you, Big Shots.
Roger, on our morning show, NASCAR Race Day, I said that Roger Penske's a great race car driver, but their team has been up and down as of late. And I asked Kurt this. Did you see this victory coming?
Well, I think, we've been working on better cars, and when you come out and you look at, what other people have, everybody's up their game. There's no when you look at it, you can see that from everyone. The Roush team obviously has made some big steps. Montoya and Ganassi, we're getting our stuff better. And I think we needed to click here, and we did that. But to me, it's competitive. You got to be at the track position. Fuel mileage was key tonight. We had a good car. We stayed out, got bad track position, as you saw at the end, but we knew what we had to do to run to the end.
But this was another new car, you said. I mean, it shows how hard you're working. You're just building new cars every month.
Well, I think, the cars got to get better. They got to get lighter. The aero must be better. And then you got an engine. Then you have your driver. He was on tonight, and he has been. The stops were good. But, this is a team effort. When I look at Hendricks, he's kind of the model. And, they're consistent. Chad Knaus makes the right calls. And I think today you saw Pat Tryson making the right calls, and we had a driver that could bring it home for us. So, great job.
Roger, actually, up until the Talladega race where he got caught up in the wreck, you guys had a pretty solid chase. It's just that 48 car has been so far above everyone. But a little new complexity tonight. Of course, he finishes 39th. You guys win the race, get your bonus points for leading. I know it's still a big, tall mountain, but 171 points, 2 races to go.
Well, if we can just get another 2 positions next week and 2 more the next week, we might get there.
Yeah, because it's pretty tight in those next couple of positions in front of you.
Larry, I think, this is a great chase. I think the side-by-side restart has really ginned this thing up tremendously for the fans and obviously for the competitors, being a crew chief out there. But to me, I think we've got momentum now. And certainly Keselowski did a great job. You listened to him on the radio tonight. He thanked our guys. Unfortunately, got caught in that wreck. He didn't qualify like he wanted to, but he was going forward every lap. And to me, at the end, ironically, he said on the radio, what can I do to help him if he runs out of gas? Pretty good teammate.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, now certainly you guys got 2 races to go, and you want to get the most out of that. But when you look forward to next year with an up-and-coming young driver and the performance of the 2 team, you guys got to be happy about what's in the future.
Well, I think, we've got a good team. I think we've got the cars, I think, figured out better. We're not perfect. The engine, we need some more work. But, Dodge has really stepped up with us, and they said, what do we need to do to get you to run as well as these other cars consistently? This isn't about winning 1 race or 2 races. This is the consistency. Yeah. And that's what I see Hendricks do every single weekend with not just 1 car, 2 or 3 cars.
Yeah.
Roger, it's been talked about that you're going to be the one and only Super Dodge team next year. I'm excited for you. You're a friend of mine. Are you excited?
Well, I guess we're the Super Dodge team because we're the only team, right?
Hey, I nicknamed it. You're the Super Dodge team, the Super Bird, baby.
Well, we're going to make it happen for him, and I think that, Chrysler had a big show this past week talking about the future, and in their presentation to the analysts and the public, they said, hey, we're going to be in NASCAR, so that's a good validation for our program.
And we just need to wrap our arm around old Sam Hornish and say, it's going to be okay.
Poor Sam. Maybe I got to have you put your arm around him.
He drives hard.
That poor guy, I tell you, he just can't.
He drives hard.
I hated to see that back there tonight. But anyhow, he's part of our team, and we're not going to let him down, and he's done a great job for us. He's won a lot of races here for us.
Oh, yeah.
All right, well, Roger, congratulations. Great job. Great team win today, and best of luck in the future going forward.
John, thank you, and Larry, and certainly
the
Mr.
Herminator.
Wallace.
Mr. Wallace.
Yeah, that's right.
I like that.
I don't know, Mr. Wallace. That's Ross. Fans, want to remind you about a special thing we got going on. If you got a question about next weekend's race, send it to Race Chase Preview Show at SpeedTV.com every week. Tuesdays, watch the Race and Chase Preview Show on NASCAR on Speed broadband channel and find out if your question was answered. Welcome back, everyone. Round number 8 of the heavyweight title fight we call the Chase for the Sprint Cup Championship is in the history books. Kurt Busch is the winner at Texas. But when it comes to the chase for the championship, perhaps the big winner tonight was Mark Martin in the number 5 car. He did his best to take advantage of his teammates' misfortune and gain some points on Jimmie Johnson. Let's go back to Bob Dillner.
A lot of strategy at the end of this race for everybody involved, but strategy, whatever, Mark, this was a very tough race for you and this team, but you got a good finish out of it.
Well, we ran good. About midway through the race, Alan and the guys hit on something, and I was like, don't change nothing now. It seems to be pretty darn good, good, and we were very, very competitive those last 3 runs. Great run for us, it really was. I never dreamed as bad as we were yesterday. I just want to thank Alan and the whole 5 teams here at Motorsports and Park West, Kellogg's, and Chevrolet. Check us out on GoDaddy.com.
Hey, Mark, I got to ask you, Jimmie Johnson kept on warning us, hey, it's not over. He has misfortune today. It's about a 70 or 80 point advantage for him going into the last 2. Just your thoughts, Mark.
Well, the race for the top 6 positions is still on. You guys jumped the gun a little bit, and you had us, looking like we were, a good shot for 2nd. And then before this race started today, I thought we were a good shot for 5th. And we had a great run, held our own against everybody that were racing. And the race is still on. 2 more to go, and it's a hard-fought battle. And we're giving it our all. We're racing our guts out.
What a turnaround from one day to the next for Mark Martin and this team.
And Bob, Mark Martin has promised us from the get-go, no matter what the question was during the chase for Mark Martin, he said, hey, man, I'm running it as hard as I can. I'm running it till the very end.
Well, in that team, they were the highest finishing car that came to pit road. They took advantage of some fresh tires. He didn't have to mess around and try to conserve fuel. He just came to pit road, got him some tires, got him some fuel, and that way he could just run as hard as he possibly could at the end of this race. But think about it. 2 races to go. Phoenix is one of them. Homestead's the other. Mark Martin sat on the pole and won Phoenix back in the spring, and a track that's very similar to Homestead, we've not been there yet this year, is he won at Chicago. So you got to believe Mark Martin, Alan Gustus, and the 5 car feels pretty good about these last 2 races.
You know what I like about Mark? I mean, he's like that old song, I'm working in a coal mine. I mean, this guy, you hear him, you media, you had us counted out, but I'm digging. That's Mark the Kid Martin. I mean, he works and wears his knees to the ground. He goes over his chassis notes, and he's saying, ha-ha, I still have a chance, and I told you. I got to tell you, that is Mark Martin. That's the way he is.
I don't know what to make out of his interview. He said, we felt like he only had a shot at 2nd. He said, going into the race, I only thought I had a shot at 5th.
Well, he improved on that quite a bit. And look at the numbers. This is why they tell us don't give up, and this is why we finished the chase. They picked up 111 points today.
Hey, but good thing we're not the media.
No.
I think you are, though.
Just for the record.
No, I'm a race car driver. I race the Nationwide
But you're on
Series.
TV right now. You're the media.
No, I'm just talking about racing.
Part of the media?
We're just talking racing.
We're TV people.
Yeah. Well, right now
I don't know how to define all this
right
stuff.
Right now we're dressed up for Halloween. I'm gonna play a TV guy. Mark.
But you play one on TV.
No, I'm really happy for Mark. We're having a little bit of fun. What I'm saying is Mark Martin is that coal miner. He is the guy that is digging all the time, and his face is like this all the time. And that's Mark Martin. The other drivers can be like this and do good. Mark wants to be like this all the time, and I think it's awesome. And, boy, I'm going to tell you what. He is south of Missouri by 100 miles, and Mark Martin wins this championship. You and I are going to be the most happiest people. He deserves it.
You know what? I think there'll be people celebrating from coast to coast and border to border if Mark Martin wins this championship.
If you have to lose a championship, which we certainly wish that on nobody, but you got to say Mark Martin would probably be the sentimental favorite to have that happen to you. Friday, the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series powers into Phoenix, where Ron Hornaday is still haunted by disastrous memories of last year as he sets his sights on a 4th career championship. Don't miss the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series live from Phoenix Friday at 7:30. On Monday, This Week in NASCAR, we'll dive into some of the hottest topics in the world of NASCAR. Would a shorter schedule or shorter races help the sport? The panelists will debate, clarify, and voice their opinions. Catch This Week in NASCAR Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern, only on Speed. Now, if it weren't for bad luck, it seems like Kevin Harvick would have no luck at all this season. These guys continually are in a position to win, but haven't been able to put it together. They were very close today, still came home with a good finish. And let's go back to Bob Dillner.
A lot of strategy at the end of this one. People running out of fuel, people coming down pit road for fuel, and you wind up with a top 5 finish. Tell me about it, Kevin.
Yeah, it was a good day for our Shell Pennzoil Chevy. We ran in a solid in the top 10 for most of the day, and we decided what the heck there at the end. We were 2 laps short. Luckily, we started saving fuel early in the run because we ran out with about a lap to go and just kind of coasted home. So worked out okay, and just took a chance and almost worked and still got a good day out of it.
It looked like in the middle of the race, the car was pretty darn good for you. But track position is so difficult here, Kevin.
Yeah, it seems like if you had track position, you could take off and kind of get yourself a gap. But car was decent all day, and just everybody fought hard.
Kevin Harvick with a good top 5 run here at Texas.
And boy, if any team needs a good run right now, Richard Childress Racing certainly needed. They got it from Kevin Harvick in the 29 today, but also throughout the top 10, Richard Childress looked good today.
Yeah, had 3 cars that finished in the top 10, and they had a very eventful weekend with that 29 car. They qualified 24th, and with about 20 minutes to go in final practice on Saturday, he slaps the wall coming off turn 2, and that pretty much ended his practice. That team just about had to rebuild the right side of that car. And when you think about it, to get a top 5 finish, Kevin Harvick, they have only had 1 top 5 finish since they finished in the top 5 in Atlanta way back in the spring. So this was a good shot in arm for Kevin Harvick and a good shot in arm for Richard Childress Racing across the board.
And it just goes to show, Kenny Wallace, you can't keep a good team down for too long.
No, you know what, and I follow Kevin on Twitter, and I read his comments because you can learn a lot about a person. You know, he's always saying, hey, better day. He sounded more positive over the last month since they decided at Richard Childress Racing, look, Kevin says, I'm going to be here next year. So his positive tone is better. And, you know, I want to go back to something Larry said. You know, not only did Kevin Harvick hit the wall, but also Jeff Burton. So those boys were driving those cars hard in practice, and 2 of the 3 Childress cars got in the wall pretty hard, and they all fixed them, and they all got good top 10 finishes today. So what a comeback for Richard Childress Racing.
Championship caliber team, but it just shows you there's just not too much room at the end.
Well, and that's an organization, of course, they have no representative in the chase, and when you look back at the last 2 years, they've had 3 teams in the chase, so there's no question, yeah, they want to win a race before 2009 is over, but the biggest thing they're trying to do, and I think Richard continues to show it with the moving and shuffling of crew chiefs, is head into 2010 ready to maybe get teams back in the chase, get back to victory lane.
You know, there are so many hard-working, dedicated people behind the scenes at NASCAR that make this whole thing work. The transporter drivers are some of the hardest working anywhere, and here they are working on it hard. A lot of teams brought the cars from the East Coast out here to Texas. They'll take the car they drove tonight, take it back home, and then they'll take this car back out to Phoenix.
Well, Larry, I mean, you're a crew chief. I mean, we're talking about a 2-day drive from Charlotte, North Carolina to Phoenix. I mean, it's got to be a lot of logistical organization going on right now.
Well, and I think this goes to show you how well equipped with people and personnel and equipment that these teams are. Back in the day, we'd have to scurry back home and probably maybe turn our Texas car around or maybe our backup Texas car around to run at Phoenix. But trust me, I talked to Chad Canals. It was just 3 or 4 weeks ago, he already had every car lined up that he wanted to race in these chase races. So it works a lot better today than it did 10, 15 years ago.
And it's so exciting. I mean, I love talking about racing. You know, it's like, let's bench race. Let's talk racing. So, like, the truck driver, when he gets out there, he's going to be grabbing probably 30 uniforms, taking it to the dry cleaners, little things like that. And they're going to say, hey, truck driver, did you get all our uniforms clean? So it's an exciting time right now. The year's coming to an end. A little tidbit information like that. I hope you enjoyed it. You've seen Juan Pablo's car he ran today. It was wrecked in the background. They'll send that on back to Charlotte.
And those guys are good. Just put it that way. Leave it at that. As we get ready to head out to Phoenix, we still got a little bit of work to do here in Texas. We'll be back with a final word on this 500-miler and get you set to head out west to Phoenix next week.
NASCAR Victory Lane is presented by Travelodge, Recreate, Hibernate, and brought to you in part by Orbitz. Visit Orbitz.com today and save.
Next weekend on Speed, it's down to the final 2 races in the championship chase as NASCAR heads west to Phoenix. From the garage to the track, nobody puts you in the middle of it like Speed. Coverage begins Friday at 11 Eastern with NASCAR Live, NASCAR on Speed. Be there, Barry. And now, as we look back at this race, the one thing we're going to be talking about is the one that got away for Jeff Gordon, a missed opportunity for the number 24 team. Let's hear what Jeff had to say after the race.
I mean, it was such a missed opportunity for us, and that's when I'm more frustrated than anything else. I mean, you know, somehow we miraculously came into this race in April and did what we did. But we just are terrible here. I'm really bad here. I can't tell them what to do to make it any better. It seems like every time I tell them to do something, they do it, and it makes it twice as bad. So once we start losing track position, this track is so tough on track position. You know, you can't pass at all here. And I mean, you saw how much trouble Kyle even had passing, you know, traffic, and he was lightning fast. So it was just a total missed opportunity for us, and I'm pretty frustrated with that.
Frustrating night for Jeff Gordon and company, but guys, you got to appreciate his honesty.
I don't want to hear somebody go, oh, well, you know, it's the best we could do. I mean, it's a 4-time champion. This guy is dead serious about his racing, his ability to get the job done, and you're sitting here listening to him say, I'm no good here, because every time I tell him what to do to the car, it doesn't work. So a little bit of frustration, but yet, hey, it's good to hear it out of him, I think.
Well, I think part of the frustration is you go back to his top 5 finish at Martinsville a couple of weeks ago. He was only 32 points behind his teammate Jimmie Johnson. Finished 20th at Talladega, didn't capitalize on the race here today with his Jimmie Johnson having the problems, and now he finds himself 112 points out with 2 races to go.
And quickly, Larry, I also forgot that he won this race the last time he was here, so that's probably why he's so mad.
Yeah.
It's like, where'd the setup go?
And I know you said he's 4-time champion, but he'll be the first to tell you, I do not have a Sprint Cup. I have 4 Winston Cups.
Yeah, exactly. So as we head into the final 2 races of the season, Kurt Busch has put his name among the winners here at Texas with 2 races to go. They are great tracks for all the guys that are running up front. Jimmie Johnson, Mark Martin, and Jeff Gordon. Now, you want to make sure you tune into the Race Hub this week. We're going to have a lot of special guests, Ricky Carmichael, Martin Truex, Ryan Newman, and Kevin Bono Mannion. Make sure to tune in to the NASCAR Race Hub. And now, let us take a look in the rearview mirror.
Texas Motor Speedway, known as a great American speedway, is 1.5 miles, and it is fast today. It's been pressuring.
43 of NASCAR's most courageous cowboys set to get it on.
I think it's a deal where we all hold our breath.
This race could come down to strategy and fuel mileage.
I've got a gambler's intuition. I know when to run a race. Coming up from the outside, you can watch me set the pace. Ain't nothing but business, just a day's work for me. When you see me pass you by, you know where I'm gonna be. This ain't no game, it's just a race.
Great job, baby. Get it inside. Caution's out. Jimmie did a great job trying to save the car.
Let's get ready. There, he just got super loose.
For the second time this season, Kurt Busch is driving into victory lane at a 1.5-mile speedway.
Hey, boy, you say that gas, man. Great job, everybody.